Here we go. You guys, one of the best things about speaking at iMedia was I didn't have to introduce myself to anybody because everybody came, oh, I saw you on iMedia's website, which roughly translates to, oh, I saw your forehead on iMedia's website. I had somebody tell me I needed to exfoliate. I apologize. Nobody should be subject to my forehead. I don't want to be subject to my forehead, so I apologize for that. But glad to be here. We've got a lot to cover. My life has been threatened if I don't get off stage in 30 minutes, so I'm going to start. So the first thing is that we'll go ahead and put this up on, there we go. The first thing is this is not a coupon. And we're going to talk about that all the way through. It is not a coupon, but I've divided this into 3 different sections. First section would be, why is this space so powerful? I am not here representing Living Social. I'm here representing the space. So I'm going to talk broadly about it, including Groupon. Why is this space so powerful? Second one is, what is the most common resistance that I see? Because the title of the presentation is, how do you get your brand on board? So what is the common questions, the tough questions? And I'll take those on one at a time. And then lastly, I'll give you 60-second examples, some of which might surprise you because they are brand-based. And then at the end, we'll have Alure come up and give a case study for what we did together with Windows 7. So we're going to jump into it. With why so powerful, I like to put this into perspective in a story about habits. So I used to work in New York City, and I work in Midtown, and I had this habit that when I was not with clients, I would go down at lunchtime, go down the office building, I'd go through the revolving doors. I'd go through the revolving doors like anybody who lives in New York City. I would go right up to traffic, and I would play Frogger, getting across, and I go to the office building right across the street. I go through those revolving doors. I'd book it across the lobby to this restaurant that was on the other side, and I would slide in the back door, this restaurant called Pergola, and I'd make this beeline for the sandwich line. Because every single day, I would order the same sandwich. I ordered the California. And this was just this sick sandwich, right? Smoked turkey, avocados, cucumbers, plum tomatoes, sprouts, Swiss cheese, ranch dressing on 7-grain bread for $6.50, and it came with a drink, okay? Awesome deal, right? That was my habit. Now, this is one of those places like Vegas. If I had gone to the left, I could have had sushi. If I turned to the right, I could have had brisket. There was this sick salad bar in the back corner. What's a restaurant in New York without a Mongolian barbecue, right? Okay? Not to mention 17,000 other sandwiches that I could choose from, but every day I ordered the California. And why wouldn't you? I mean, look at that damn thing, right? It is an awesome sandwich. So I started to think about what would change that habit. If I backed up and I went all the way back to the beginning, I went back into my office building, I came down from my office, and I started my lunch hour again. But this time, when I went through the revolving doors and I prepared to do what I had done every time before, something would cause me to stop and consider maybe going to the left or maybe going to the right. That's what this space does, okay? It changes habits. It also reinforces habits, and we'll talk about that as well. It changes habits. Now, I'll give you an example of lunch, right? But this happens with your brands as well. When I'm walking down the street, do I get my prescription drugs filled over here? Or maybe I should get my prescription drugs filled over there. Which way do I turn? Do I ship my birthday gift to my brother with this company, or should I ship them with that company? Should I potentially get my cell phone from over here, or maybe I should get my cell phone over here? Do I adventure and play Frogger again and get across the street to get my bed and bath stuff over there? Or maybe I should just go right here. People have choices. No matter how great your company is, no matter how great your product is, no matter how great your brand is, people have choice. Now, let's talk about the time that purchase decision is made. If you leave me to my habits, I will eat at the same restaurants. I will buy clothes for my kids at the same place. I will go get my home improvement supplies from the same place. I get in the car, I'm on autopilot. I'm on autopilot when I'm on that street corner. If you leave me to make that decision right then and there, I will go where I've always gone before. Okay? But if I change the time that the purchase decision is made, that becomes very powerful. That's what this space does. So now when you're sitting and you're looking at your iPhone when you're walking back from dropping your kids off at school, or you're walking the dogs, or you're sipping your coffee, and you see this sick offer that comes through, you're like, wow, click with your thumb, and you buy the deal. You've changed the time that you make the decision. Now when you're standing on the corner, if you bought that Bed Bath & Beyond that's across the street, well, you're walking around with redemption in your pocket. You pull out your cell phone, you walk across your street because you decided 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months ago that you were going to shop across the street. That is very powerful. Fact number 2 about this space, very powerful. You only pay, in a typical daily deal structure, you only pay when people are physically walking in your store. And your sales associates that you've invested in can take over. Everybody knows that the people that are in the store spend more money because they're oh, I'm going to try this on. I'm going to get this for my brother, or I'm going to get this for my daughter. Oh, I'm going to get that too. And the price of the basket, the size of the basket is so much greater than if you're online because your sales associates are taking over. Think about those 2 facts, okay? It creates a very, very powerful platform. All right, let's go to the second one, resistance. What are the toughest questions? I'm going to throw out a bunch of them, and I'll answer them one at a time. You might have thought these or heard these internally before. First one, yeah, we're not looking for coupon cutters. Okay. First, these are women. 2 out of 3 are women. Okay. This is according to Nielsen, by the way. They're also very educated people. Okay. Very educated women. 39% of Groupon's members, 39% of Groupon's audience has a bachelor's degree or postgraduate degree. Internet average, 25%. 46% of our audience has a bachelor's degree or postgraduate degree. Internet average, 25%. Double the internet average. What about people that make an average of 150 grand a year? Okay? Groupon, 30% more likely than the internet average. Living Social, 49% more likely. This is a sport. Okay, my wife critiques this every morning. She gets the deals, and she's like, oh, this is good. I don't like this. I'm going to get this one. It's a sport. Okay, this is not a coupon cutter. And when those folks that find it, when these educated, affluent women find this, by the way, think about this. If you're buying a spa treatment for $150 that usually costs $300, it still costs $150, right? You have to have disposable income. And when they find something, they shout from the rooftops. And we're going to come back to this. Second one, we can run a 50% off sale or coupon on our own, and we get the same result. First thing is, it's almost like comparing an apple to a condominium. Okay? These are just 2 different things, right? There's a voucher, and then there's a sale and a coupon. 2 very, very different things. We talked about this. There's no commitment with a sale or a coupon. If you see a sale or a coupon, great. Okay, if I get in there when the sale's running, awesome. Or I don't really shop at your store, or good to know, but I'm actually going to go to Container Store instead of going across the street, right? Good to know. In this world, in the daily deal world, you're whipping out a credit card, and you're prepaying. You're buying a ticket to come shop with that merchant. That is very, very different than a sale or a coupon. You don't pay for a coupon. You don't pay up front to have the opportunity to go see a sale. Very different. We're going to come back to also several other differences between the daily deal space and a sale or a coupon. Next one. This is a direct hit to my margins. My CFO would never agree to this. I'm going to propose we think about this slightly different, and I know you're going to throw tomatoes at me. But what I would propose is this is not a hit to the margin. This is the most efficient advertising you can do. I want you to think about how much time and money is spent on creating the creative, paying all of the different resources that you need to create all of this stuff, buying the media, running the media, placing the media, and then hoping that people see the media and they come and they buy stuff. Now, I love traditional media. I love regression analysis as much as the next guy, right? But no advertiser can tell me that of the people that saw this TV spot or this display ad, and listen, I lived in that world. Nobody can say, of the people that saw this, 792,000 people physically walked in my store and spent X dollars, and they live in this zip code. Nobody can tell you that. In this situation, you're only paying, remember fact 2, when people physically walk in the store. You know what the hard cost is. So if you think about all the money you spend up front, hoping that they come in, if you divided that up, what would that math look like? Something to think about. Where we've seen the most success is that the CFO has budgets, right? He or she is running these budgets. And then the marketing team's like, I want to do this time-altering stuff that's new on the web and see if I can drive hundreds of thousands of people into my store. Well, when you think about this as a marketing spend, the most efficient marketing spend you can do, and you start to break down that wall that exists between a budget and doing something like this, where the perception, understandably, is this is a hit to my margin, well, then the dollars start to flow from the marketing budgets across to this time-altering opportunity. And that's where we've seen the most success, is thinking about this as a marketing spend. Next one, we don't want to discount our brand. Again, these are all daily deal examples. I'm going to give you some case studies later that talk about different ways to leverage the space that are not daily deal inspired. We don't want to discount our brand. First thing, this space is not an always-on strategy. It's not. Plenty of great always-on strategies out there. Search, you sell cell phones? You want to show up when people search cell phones on Google and Yahoo and on Bing? Yeah, you should always be there. Always-on strategy, great always-on strategy. This space, not one of them. Not one of them. This is a once-a-year, maybe twice-a-year scenario, unless you're breaking your store into different categories. Women's clothes, men's clothes, sporting goods, etc. But if you're doing the whole store, once a year, twice a year, that's it. Now, if you think about that, the other thing to remember is that this is not 50% off the total basket. This is 50% off the voucher. So if you do a 10 for 20 and somebody comes in and spends $100, it's not 50% off. It's more like 15% off. You're having them commit up front to come in. Now, this is the part where I'm going to walk a tightrope a little bit, because part of my job is that I hit the wrong button here. I think that was red. Lost the screen. Hit the red button again. There we go, sorry. So part of my job is to really pay attention. So I sign up for email newsletters with a lot of my clients. And what I did is I did a little bit of math, and I counted the number of promotional emails that were sent to me by brands in a 30-day window. Does anybody want to? Well, I won't put it. They're all brands A, B, C, D, E, and F. None of them are in this room. They're all could be in this room, but they're not. Average was 18 promotional emails in 30 days. Subject line was final sale up to 70% off, 50% off, 50% off, 40% off, 30% off, 54% off, 60% off, one after another, after another, after another, after another. Now, if you think about that and you say, well, if they're 18 a month, times 12 months a year, that's 216 emails a year compared to 1 or 2. So the thought process is, I don't know that it would be fair to categorize this space as one that could discount a brand, whereas other practices that are leveraging similar tactics do not. Especially when you think about that you have 1 or 2 emails that you're sending out. What happens when it's special? What happens when it's unique? Remember that 33%. These people find it, they want to shout from the rooftops, right? Here's an example, and something that is very, very important. Brands cannot speak to consumers the same way a friend can. No brand, as much as I love you, can tell me that I'm dumb if I don't buy something. But my buddy can. Steven can. It's authentic, it's genuine, it's real. It's how he represents himself online. It's what I expect from him. And I get it from all of my other friends. And I see it in their tone and in their voice, what they're thinking. And it surrounds me. You cannot buy this media. This is earned. Now, when you think about this, to give you an idea of scale, we ran Amazon, and in a day, there were 45,000 posts to Facebook. Think about how many friends you have, times 45,000. Think about 7,300 tweets, times the number of your followers. You don't do this for a coupon or sale. Now, if you think about what that means, is that of that 1.3 million, 40% came from shared links. Facebook, Twitter, blogs, etc. 40%. That's 500,000 purchases. 500,000. Very, very powerful. I get this one a lot. We only want new customers. So, first of all, this is Lightspeed research. Lightspeed said that they did the research and said that 40% have tried before, 60% are trying this for the first time, trying something new. They also said that of the people that try something new, 2/3 go back. Pretty good numbers. Now, let's go back to this part. And since the question comes back is we don't want the new folks. We only want new folks. We don't want the old. Well, let's talk about the old. And Shiv talked about loyalists, right? This is my sandwich. I love my sandwich. And if there was a voucher that came up for Pergola, I would buy that voucher. And I would tell everybody about that voucher, right? I've never worked with a company that hasn't talked about surprise and delight, and rightfully so. This platform, this space, allows marketers to surprise and delight. Once a year, twice a year. Remember that. Once a year, twice a year. We even have this on a wall in our office. We talk about it too, surprise and delight. Now, we talked about loyalists. Shiv talked about loyalists. I will shout from the rooftops. Oh my God, this place has awesome sandwiches. Even has a Mongolian barbecue. I am your voice. So it's okay to reinforce a habit as well as create new ones. Next one. We've read the articles. People come for the deal, but they don't come back. So remember, 65% do come back. But let's talk about that. So this is a long time ago when I had hair, less forehead, more hair. This was our honeymoon. It all started, we got married 13 years later. We've got 2 other Spolans. Sorry about that. Adding to the world, and we have a good time. We laugh a lot. It all started from a great first date, okay? This is a pool hall, the pool hall that a blind date 15 years ago asked to go to. What I didn't know is she liked to go to pool halls to pick up other guys while on our date, which was awesome. Awful first date, man. Whoa! There was not a second date. Merchants work the same way. We buy a local merchant, it's a sushi place around the corner. I go in and said, oh, you're from Living Social. Thank you for coming in. Have you ever been here before? No, we haven't. Well, let me show you around. This is what we have. These are what we're specialized in. I recommend X, Y, or Z. Oh, okay, well, we'll get this. That sounds really good, though. We'll get that the next time. And we sit down to eat. 20 minutes later, they bring out that second roll that we didn't think about. Listen, I know you were thinking about this. I just want you to try it. It's on me. Thank you for coming in and trying us out. Great first date. I've been back 10 times. National merchants do the same thing. I bought a Land's End deal. I took off my address here just because I was talking about promotional emails, so I was worried a little bit. But I got this. I didn't know who it was from, so I flip it around, and it's from Land's End. And I just bought their voucher and redeemed it, and they sent me a thank you note. And I know this was computer generated, but it felt good, right? They recognized that I was new, that I was trying something different, and they sent me a thank you note. Great first date. So as you do these things, the goal is to try to create great first dates. And when you do, you get a second, you get a third, Works out. So it's not all on the voucher. Now, I have had experiences where you go in, and it's like, oh, well, this guy came in on a voucher. We'll get to him in a minute. Bad first date. 60-second examples or less. First one here. So America's Next Great Restaurant. NBC wanted to promote the show, so we tried to get creative. We said, okay, well, we'll target people that are buying restaurant deals and only restaurant deals. And we'll promote in there that if you buy the deal today, the restaurant deal today, and you watch the trailer for America's Next Great Restaurant, we'll give you $2 off your deal. Promoted it on the site. And when people went to check out, they were presented with the video to watch the trailer for America's Next Great Restaurant. And when they did, they got $2 off. So they're building their brand, tying it to the fact that people like to go out to restaurants. Perfect audience. Next one, Boardwalk Empire. So Boardwalk Empire comes and they're having the premiere this year. Now this space, Daily Deals, is not just limited to a discount. It's about an experience, and Shiv talked about experience as well. So we have a section also called Adventures. And what Adventures is a series of individual days or events. So it's day of kayaking, gun range carnival, ultimate ninja adventure. We actually train you to be a ninja. All of these different experiences. The last one, shooting and drinking. Not drinking and shooting, by the way. Totally different liability. Shooting and drinking. So all of these great experiences, and Shiv talked about this, we created an experience for Nucky and Boardwalk Empire. So when you click on it and you look at the individual deal, this was an exclusive Boardwalk Empire Season 2 yacht party. And on that was whiskey tastings, blackjack tables, tips. We recreated what Nucky's World was on this yacht. Now, we talked about scale, right? There's only so many people who can go on a yacht, right? Small scale in that respect. We're running it in multiple cities. The price point is the 1920s, $19.21. But we also emailed it to millions of people. This also included a screening of the new show. It got picked up by Variety. Brand building. Interesting way to use the space. Talk about Groupon. Groupon did a great, I know there's a bunch of General Mills people here. They did a great creative thing with Groupon. And in this situation, they promoted a pack, driving trial. Here's a sampler pack, a coupon book, and shipping. We'll send it to your house. And it included a whole bunch of stuff. You didn't choose. They put a huge assortment of all their great products. So the thought, you try it, you like it, oh my God, this was good. You go out and buy it again. Driving trial. God, I keep doing that. Okay. Oh, that's bad. All right, here we go. Now, they also did a fun one with Unilever and SuperValue. In this situation, they tied to your loyalty card, and the loyalty card would pull it on there. You go in to buy ice cream, you swipe your loyalty card, you got your discount. Very unique. Visa said, okay, I want anybody who's going to buy a deal today, whatever the local deal is, if they pay with their Visa card, then we'll give them another one for free. So you go buy your Pilates deal, you pay with your Visa card, then you get to bring your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever to go to Pilates with you, and Visa covered it. Very strategic. How many times do you think you go in to change your credit card that you buy all these local deals with? And then today, anybody see this today? Yeah. All right, good. Oh, I like the clapping. That's awesome. So I woke up this morning and I saw 145,000 sold. Before I got on stage, it was 602,000. I think that, well, we'll check it. It's probably close to 650 or 700,000 since we've been up here. We talked about 200 million tweets a day. Shiv cited that, 200 million tweets a day. Trending this morning, Whole Foods. I keep doing this. I should cut my thumb off. Okay. 200 million tweets a day. It not only trended once, before we got up here, it trended twice. This is not a coupon. It's not a sale. This is something that is adding value that people love to talk about. The amount of people who forward me the Whole Foods Living Social deal is slightly alarming. This is not a coupon. All right, now we're going to Windows 7. And Ali is going to come up here and talk about what we did together which is very different than a standard daily deal and much more tied into our family's product.
Thank you, Mitch.
Absolutely.
Is this working? All right,
Yes,
great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take us through today a case study on a project I did for Windows 7 when I was at Microsoft. Since then, I've actually left and started my own consultancy on how big brands can evolve their marketing strategy into new channels like the group shopping category and work with partners like Living Social to evolve their offer on bringing more brands in. So what I'd like to do today first is take you through the case study, highlight some of the most important results that we found interesting, and then talk about the interpretation. Now that we know what we know as a result of this program, what does this mean for the big brands in the room? How should they invest moving forward? The other thing I want to set up before I get in is that my team shared several of the same doubts that Mitch pointed out today. But my team was focused on identifying new media trends that were scalable, that were valuable for us to invest why or if we should market in those places, form a set of hypotheses about what the value was to Microsoft to do marketing in those channels, land programs, and further our learning about the opportunity moving forward. I think you'll see once we get into the results how the hypotheses and the things that we learned actually completely support several of the points Mitch made today. Not a pitch. All right, so here's the program. Living Social has family editions like their adventures and their escapes. The family edition, when we decided to do this program, had about 1 million subscribers in the US. 90% were moms, 10% dads, 100% had children in the household, as well as meeting all the other targeting and demographic criteria Mitch shared. At the same time, we were putting a campaign in market for Windows 7 focused on shifting perceptions of innovation about Windows 7 with moms who had fallen a bit behind. Maybe they hadn't upgraded their PC 5 to 6 years, they were still running XP. It was time to move these women onto a new machine and show them the value. So the program worked like this. You know, a subscriber of the Family Edition comes in and sees a deal. On this day, it was Disney Family Fun. As they're moving through the purchase process, they're offered the opportunity to watch a video about Windows 7. This is a piece of our creative that was on television in the UK. You may have seen it where a mom comes into her home and we've built out a store of all the newest, sexiest PCs, and she gets to choose her own. After they've watched this video, they get a $5 credit towards their next Living Social Family Edition purchase. At the same time, they're offered the opportunity to share with their friends, like Mitch was sharing, as well as visit our website for more information. So this is where I'm going to come back to our set of hypotheses. I'm going to share with you some things that we confirmed and some surprises from the results. So the first hypothesis was really about target audience. Putting my brand marketer hat on, I wanted to target on the individual level. I wanted to target based on who had shared recently, who had bought within the tech category, whatever it was. We were trying to find a way to work with these guys for quite a long time, and we couldn't really get there. And when the Family Edition came along, there seemed like a really strong match between our target of moms and the subscribers of the Family Edition. In addition to all of that targeting information, which we confirmed, yes, our audience was there, we also found something a little bit more interesting, was that 90% of the people who are on the Family Edition were already using a version of Windows, but 54% were on a version earlier than Windows 7. So not only were we targeting loyalists of our product, and by the way, a perfect upsell market, we were also reaching into loyalists of the Living Social community because these people subscribe to daily deals on a normal basis and also subscribe to this Family Edition. And I'll get back to where I think that led us. Second, we fundamentally believed that the infrastructure of Living Social, the daily email, the traffic to the website, the sharing that it comes out of it, could drive the same perception metrics that normally we would put a campaign in market to do. It comes in a different format. It doesn't require the same creative work or media planning or market research. But we believed fundamentally that we could shift perception goals with this kind of program. Results were clear. Perception of innovation, which was our goal, lifted 20%. Perception of quality lifted 14%. Likelihood to recommend, 30%. I mean, these are numbers that you don't see in other media buys. So clearly, this doesn't look like another campaign that you've put in the market in the past, but it has the ability to shift these perception goals. Third, Mitch talked about basket attach earlier, which we define at Microsoft as the customer walks into the store, they may have gone for Windows 7, but hopefully they're adding Office and a Windows phone. Who knows, whatever it is. I would like to expand the definition of what basket attach is to a broader set of activities that are valuable to the marketer that come out of it that we don't pay for. 28% of the people who participated shared this with a friend. 31% visited our website. I mean, when have you ever seen a 31% click-through rate? I never have. It's not exactly the same, but that's my point. Here are the things that surprised us. One was that this program had the ability to shift loyalty, which I think Mitch started to talked about that sandwich a lot. We saw the highest volume of impact on perception and likelihood to recommend with people who are already favorable towards the product. So the highest lift in perception from people who thought the product was very good, and we shifted more of them towards thinking the product was excellent than any other place in the funnel. Same for likelihood to recommend. We shifted more people from they would probably recommend to they will definitely recommend this product. And I would challenge the marketers in a room to think about how we invest in driving somebody who has purchased into a loyalist. There's a lot of other ways we do that in all the different channels that we look at, and I think we're seeing that this channel has the opportunity, the proven opportunity to do that. Second, context and timing was key. The reality is not a lot of other brands, nor any other brand in Microsoft, had done a product like this before. We didn't know if they were going to like it. And what we found was that the concept actually had a positive impact both on the brand as well as their experience in the environment. 77% of the people who participated liked the ad. 66% of them improved their perception of Windows. Only 1% didn't like it. Jeff Ramsey spoke yesterday about how the last thing that we want to be doing when we're online is be marketed to. Well, clearly that wasn't the case here. So what does this mean for the brands in the room? What can we do with this as a result? I think we learned context and timing is key. You have the right product and the right message at the right time. We had brand loyalists and we had living social loyalists. And I believe the effect that we saw was, greater than the sum of the parts in our ability to shift perception. I think what we also learned, which is interesting, this is basically a value exchange program. We've done this in social games a lot, where we ask a customer to engage with the campaign experience and we give them some kind of social currency. Same premise applies here. Now what we've learned is that translates into this space. And so when I take those two learnings into effect, I think about how would we invest in loyalty and advocacy in other places? This channel clearly has a place to do that, but traditionally at big brands we think, all right, what are we going to do to activate our fans and our followers? Usually we go to Facebook or Twitter, we do some kind of campaign, get them excited, get them sharing. I would hypothesize that if your customer is in this channel, which I believe they are, this is another great place to think about investing in loyalty and advocacy. The last point I want to make is about, okay, so we learned all of these great things about perception with a project that was not a deal. But I believe that some of the learnings and the effects that we saw would also happen in complement with a daily deal, like Mitch is talking about. So my challenge to you guys is this, typically the way that we put a deal into market at a big brand campaign, like Mitch said, it's not always on, it's preparing for a holiday. So it starts with your market research. Figure out who is the right audience, the right deal. What's the product we need to get in their hand? Then it's the market research, what is it, what do we need to get to them? What will they like? Then we shift over to the creative agency. What's the message? Then we buy the media. Then we implement the research. We pay a lot of people in the process to manage that. I would challenge the brands in the room to think about condensing all of the money that you are putting out to get your offer in market, starting at the market research, ending in the last day that you see a report from your agency on how well it did. Think about compressing all of those expenses into a single budget line. And I think when brands start to look at that conversion, you may consider working with somebody like a Living Social or a Groupon when you start planning for your next holiday offer or buying cycle, because we obviously know now this channel has the effect on perception, on loyalty, and on advocacy that otherwise we look to other channels to do. So thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to answering questions later today.